The next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring, accepting the military the government has achieved, and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
I think a lot of what President Trump is trying to do is really what I describe as performative. It's meant to sort of appease the base. It's meant for political reasons, to kind of show the base, hey, I hear you, and I'm trying to do what you want me to do. But that's independent from the law. And the fact that the president does not make it legal. In our system of government, the fact that any government official does something does not make what they do legal. The Constitution is what makes it legal. While he may be scoring political points, I think courts have no choice but to address the claims that are brought to them. I don't think any of these courts, first of all, none of these courts are reaching out. They don't have the power to reach out to decide these questions. Questions are being brought to them. Courts perhaps reluctant to really strike down things. Generally speaking, courts are reluctant to do that. But in almost every instance in which a court has been brought in, the legal question is not a hard one. It's a very easy legal question. And courts have been answering it quite consistently across party lines.
Defend the Constitution! We, the people, defend the Constitution! Stop the coup! Stop the...
To the extent that, for example, the courts are persuaded that what is going on is an attempt to disestablish an agency that Congress has created by statute, a court is going to be suspicious that, yes, this is a breach of, of the separation of powers. Departments, agencies, offices get set up through congressional authority. Either Congress writes the organization plan, or it can give power to the president to set some things up. The president can set things up within what's called the executive office of the president. But USAID was created by statute, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau created by statute, Department of Education created by statute. Those statutes cannot be, effectively repealed by executive action.
X, are you okay? But we're talking about tens of billions of dollars that we've already found. And now a judge who's an activist judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why? Why would they want to do that? I can't pay.
What's unusual are the steps that he is taking or authorizing to hollow out the executive branch, and what I would call a kind of shoot now, aim later approach to legal compliance. Now, some of the orders, he has an order, directing that federal procurement in paper straws be brought to a halt. Fine, but the executive order that purports to have the government act in a certain way based upon his definition of birthright citizenship, that's a slam dunk unlawful order.
We're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy.
A lot of what DOJ is trying to do is ride roughshod over a lot of laws that already exist that protect various things. For example, the privacy of people's information. According to the law that Congress passed, that is part of the supreme law of the land, the people that are trying to monitor privacy, interfere with that, trying to micromanage appropriations, do not have the authority to do that. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives these people the authority to do that.
Busy city, running the city, making sure we continue to move forward.
this is unprecedented. We don't have a history of veteran prosecutors resigning in protest over a presidential directive to drop a prosecution. That's why it might seem unusual, because historically, the administration through the Department of Justice has generally, not always perfectly, but generally enforced the law and followed the law. This circumstance, which is quite transparent and quite public, is therefore unprecedented in the extent to which it is an outrageous abuse of power, in which the president has directed an indictment that's already been made and that's backed by evidence to be dropped for purely political reasons.
It is true, we have a court that is, I'll say hostile to the administrative state in a variety of ways, different members to a different degree. But I think the breadth of the claims that Trump is making, explicitly or implicitly, I think could well be troublesome to the court.
One enforcement mechanism is to cite the president for contempt of court, which is enforced by U.S. Marshals who work for him. So we assume they'll be fired or they'll stand down because he's told them to. The only other enforcement mechanism is impeachment, which is not going to happen because Republicans control the House and the Senate. That means, and this is why I said there's going to be a big crack in the rule of law, because if the president refuses to comply with the court's order, and even if the court delivers it a second and third or fourth time, and he refuses to follow it, if there's no power to punish him or sanction him for that, then he gets away with it. And that is going to be a precedent in American law, which is going to come back to haunt us for decades and centuries.